I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. You got a belly up to the bar, we've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Angel's going to be your bartendress tonight. She pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is, in fact, lighted to my left, your right. The reason I mention that is because we are live on shrmedia.com. If you want to go, do it quick like a bunny. That's the radio aspect of it, shrmedia.com. And that's where you can go into our chat room, because there's only one official chat room, because BZ doesn't have the facility to monitor 3 chat rooms at once. Oh no, he's not that facile, not that good. So if you want to chat in the shrmedia.com chat room. Plus, if you want to watch the show, and if you want to see the Ridley Scott Memorial, commemorative, because Ridley Scott is still here, Lava Lamp, etc., you go to the SHR Media Facebook page, and you go to the SHR Media YouTube channel, which we recently reacquired. Don't ask me about that. We don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all here at the Saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the damn toilet, jiggle the handle. Don't forget to tip your waitress. Today is Thursday. It is March 22nd, the year of our Lord 2018. March, if you can believe it, is almost over. Oh my gosh, how the time flies when you get old, fat, and rotund like myself. However, I have to tell you that we do in fact have a very special guest on tonight. He has appeared on the show only once before, but he has been so terribly kind as to have me on his show. At this point, I think it's 28 or 29 times. Now, when we spoke, we usually speak at length, anywhere from 4 to 5 hours. Tonight, for Jeff, unfortunately, we only have one, because you have to realize that on the far left coast, it is 8:07. On the far right coast, where Jeff lives... Oh, did I say Jeff? Yes, I did. On the far right coast where Jeff lives, it's 11:07. So it's really late at night. And in Bolivia, it's 17:23 and 528.725 seconds. So, folks, I want to introduce the act you've known for all these years. It's Jeff Dunitz of lidblog.com. And Jeff Dunitz, thank you ever so kindly, sir, for coming back to the Saloon, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love coming to the Saloon, even though I'm a guest and you make me pay for my drinks.
I asked you not to say anything about that. Okay, well, at least there's there's one possible thing. There's one positive thing. Jersey Joe, accused me numerous times of watering my drinks. So at least, Jeff Dunitz, you have not accused me of watering my drinks. And for that, I say bless you, sir. Thank you ever so kindly for doing that. Or not doing that.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Are you sure it's March 22nd? Because I got 20 inches of snow outside my door.
Oh, no, that can't happen for one very important salient reason, and that would be the Earth is being bombarded with global warming, and that would not be keeping in accordance with their great plan of continuing the global warming meme. So I question your authority on that. You really have me wondering now.
Well, to tell you the truth, it certainly tells that councilman in District of Columbia that he's wrong, because if the Jews really did control the weather, I wouldn't have 20 inches of snow outside my door.
Well, wait a minute. On the other hand, is he not correct? Could it just simply be incompetence?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Not at all.
Some DC dude actually said that the Jews have control of the weather. The Jews. You're serious about that?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed because I was hoping that we actually controlled the banks, like most anti-Semitics think,
Okay.
because I would empty his cash account. Maybe give it to a nice charity, like one of the veterans groups.
If only that were true, then, and you could do precisely that. I'm still back at that guy said, the Jews control the weather. That's a quote. That's actually a quote from this guy.
He is a Democrat, and over the last 10 years, the Democrats have become the party of anti-Semitism, and I'm not kidding.
No, I know. We talked last time and the other times that I've spoken on your show, and I still don't get it. You have gone out of your way, sir, to explain to me why it is that particularly U.S. Jews, as far as they're concerned, Israel almost kind of quite doesn't exist, and if they acknowledge its existence, its presence is really inconvenient. I still don't get that. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm thick.
Well, you know what? In a lot of ways, I don't understand either, But one big reason is that until William F. Buckley Jr. Became a leader in the conservative movement was very anti-Semitic. And he basically threw out all the anti-Semites.
How sad was that? I mean, not sad that they threw them out, but sad that the conservatives were that fashion.
Right. And they all went to the Democratic Party, I guess,
Well, everybody's got to be somewhere.
It's another reason not to like liberals.
Yeah, one of a cast of, a massive list of at least this tall. That's right. That's a visual, folks. That's why you need to be on the SHR Media Facebook page or the SHR Media YouTube channel to see what's going on. So, Jeff Dunitz, man, it's like, hey, nothing has been happening in the news recently. Oh, wait, I forgot my manners. Darn it, Jeff, I forgot my manners. Please, right off the bat, tell folks where you can be found, where you can be read, your social media, blog, etc. Please.
Okay. The blog is lidblog.com, lidblog.com, and it's at Yid with Lid is my Twitter, and I don't know what my Facebook address is, but it's if you go to lidblog.com, you'll find it.
Okay, perfect. That's the perfect way to get there. Jeff, I have literally, I'm holding up my hands like this to indicate an arseload. I have an arseload of questions for you tonight because so much stuff has happened. But let's start with the first one. And let me, before I even ask the first question, let me again emphasize a few things that people may not be aware of. Jeff writes at the Lid blog. He originally was called Yid with Lid. That's where I first picked him up. And I made it a point to read him every day. Now, Jeff comes out with at least one post every day, frequently more. So if you want to find out what's going on...
Minimum of 3.
Okay, there you go. A minimum of 3 posts a day. So Jeff is extremely active in the blogosphere. So if you want to find out what's happening, and if you want to find out what Jeff's opinions are, then go to lidblog.com. Now, that having been said, one of the biggest things that occurred today in a post that Jeff just recently kicked out into the atmosphere is we had the stepping down today of national security. Well, not today. It won't happen until April. But we had information about the coming stepping down of National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster and the replacement of McMaster with John Bolton, former UN ambassador to the United States, or excuse me, former UN.
That's the United Nations.
Thank you. That one. That's what I meant to say. And then right after that announcement was made, about 45 minutes later, John Bolton happened to be on Martha McCallum, and she asked him just a whole bunch of pointed questions. Boomity, boomity, boom, boom, boomity, boom. And he went deflect, 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 deflect. So all he could say basically is that he had known officially only for about the past 45 minutes, and Martha just went bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. And it was funny to watch.
But he was very smart, though.
He's.
I mean, what he said basically is, the opinions I've given publicly.
Yeah.
But my job now is to implement what the president wants.
Yep. How common sense is that? So you wrote a post on that, and I have to tell you, I really have enjoyed the steadfast opinions and the stances that John Bolton has taken in the past. He has taken what a lot of people would call hardliner stances. In many of them, although I don't agree with every damn one, I would say that he's taken frequently, for the United States, common sense stances. So what are your thoughts, Jeff Dunitz, on John Bolton and H.R. McMaster?
I'm a big fan of H.R. McMaster, okay? Possibly because I've had to defend him a couple of times, and all throughout my investigations has told me he's an excellent strategist. And, everything they said about him, and sadly it was the conservatives that said about him that he is pro-Iran, that he's anti-Israel. It's all lies. I mean, if you look at his background, it's all lies. However, it's just a matter of, and I grew up in the corporate world. If I had somebody who worked for me who was very verbose, I start with my hand, like, come on, move it, move it, move it. I bet you Trump is worse. And the styles didn't match. Trump likes bottom line, and McMaster likes to tell all the background. And it just didn't work out that way. Okay, it wasn't a matter of policy, it was a matter of style. Bolton is very boom, boom, boom with his opinions. Now, keep in mind that a lot of Bolton's opinions, I mean, the liberals were freaking. Did you see the Twitterverse?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, boy, did I ever.
He's putting together a war cabinet. Oh, my God. Look, Trump ran as basically a non-interventionalist, one of those things.
Interventionist. That's what you meant. I knew it.
That too. Okay. Yes, Bolton was for the Iraq war, and Trump was very against it. And if you think that Trump can be bullied by anybody to go to war, then, or anything,
yep.
Right? Bully to stop having Diet Coke for lunch, as CNN, reported. Okay, that's point one. The other thing is that Bolton isn't as hawkish as you think, because it's one thing to be a commentator on television where you have 2 minutes to say something bold, so they bring you back, than when you're an advisor to the president and your advice could actually go out and kill people.
Well, it's an entirely different landscape. It's a different landscape. Right. And Jeff, it should be. It needs to be. Television commentator versus somebody whose opinions will sway or influence the president of the United States. Yeah, it's got to be a different landscape on that. Now, I have to interject this at this point. And another reason that I would like your opinion, I've heard from a number of sources, and it comes from the I heard category, and I'm curious because I have to tell you, I've seen lots of people on the left in social media and whatnot say, well, you know what? Trump is kicking McMaster to the curb because it turns out that H.R. McMaster is the leaker in the White House. He's the guy.
Let me tell you something. First of all, this has been talked about for months, okay, this exact switch. The other thing, even more importantly, is that General McMaster has served this country in the Army for 34 years.
Yes.
Okay. If he was a leaker, he would have been out a long time ago. This is a man of honor, and this is a man who has served this country wonderfully. He didn't leak. I promise he didn't leak. I bet my life on it.
That's a rather significant statement. And I promo the show because, generally, for the most part, you really don't have many opinions on much of anything. You're kind of
Yeah.
wishy-washy on most everything.
Well,
I have to say.
You know what it is? That fact that I do your show after my wife is asleep, so I'm allowed to have an opinion.
Oh, that's it. Okay, good. All right, so you're downstairs, huddled underneath the stairs in a small room, and she's upstairs sleeping.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so overall, though, what do you think John Bolton's performance will be for Donald Trump?
I think that he is a little more hawkish than McMaster.
Okay.
And he's more hawkish than President Trump. However, I think he understands that once the president makes his decision, it's time to fall in line.
During the
just by what he said on Fox tonight.
Yes, exactly, and that's precisely what I was going to say when I was listening to Martha McCallum. He repeated a couple of times, though he wouldn't go into detail on a lot of the questions that she asked. He did continuously emphasize time and again that when the president, the president of the United States, the guy with RHIP,
Exactly.
when he says something, just as you just stated, it's time for everyone else to fall in line and implement that particular policy or decision. That's what a good administrator does. That's what a good supporter does. Make your case, make your best argument, list all the reasons why, and the decider in chief is the guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head at the end of the day. That's true. That's
with the nice Jewish girl daughter.
right. Right.
But honestly, you know, Trump, the liberals say he wants only people who agrees with him. Trump wants people who disagrees with him, just as long as they fall in line once he makes a decision. But he wants a range of things to think about. Okay, and even with what was his name, Gary Cohen, who left,
right,
who didn't want tariffs.
Yeah.
He listened to him. He argued with them, and if it got to the point where it was extreme, that it was what he didn't want, he left. That's what a good person does. You know, as opposed to Ralph Peters, who left Fox and trashed them all the time. I mean, I think you got to have loyalty for the company or the country you work for.
I'm going to play a cut later on after we finish speaking to you. And folks, I'm talking to Jeff Dunitz of the Lid Blog.
A paper cut?
And Ralph Peters made a statement and excoriated Tucker Carlson last year about Russia. So Ralph Peters leaving is like sweat from my balls. It makes no significant difference at all. I mean, I can see where this guy is coming from, and I really don't have any time for him anymore. I know what he's trying to do. I've heard his shtick before. BFD. I got a ton of questions for you tonight, Jeff. One of the first ones is... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying I'm listening.
Okay. One of the biggest things that's underreported, or people are not attributing, in my opinion, sufficient importance to this. Both sides, there's that GOP budget, and both sides are claiming victory, so to speak, on this spending bill, but nobody really seems to agree what the hell is in this thing. So on the one side, Democrat leaders, they're looking at this new spending bill today, and they were crowing. They were saying they managed to block nearly all of President Trump's immigration plans. And then the other side of the aisle, GOP, they're saying that the bill betrayed the president's border security promises. And then the White House comes through and insists the bill is actually a major win for Trump on immigration, delivering a massive start to the border wall. And the truth is, it adds an assload of cash to our debt. And it's this omnibus spending bill. It totals a record, I think it's $1.3 trillion and runs to 3,100 pages of legislative text and congressional reports. So my first question to you, Jeff, do you think Trump is going to sign it?
Oh, he already said he's going to sign it.
Okay.
Let me though tell you, I haven't read the bill. okay, because I have a life. Although I did read Obamacare before it was voted on.
No.
And that took 2 days. But
Wait. You actually read the Affordable Care Act?
as a matter of fact,
Good God.
I actually tweeted something to my congressman at the time, and he called me a liar. And I said, okay. And I said, check out page 207, the third paragraph. I mean, I know what I will not say something unless I know. However, from what my understanding is the good part of the bill is it finally funds the military to the level it should be.
Yes, that's one good thing, because the military has had its butt kicked fiscally for the past 8 years under Barack Hussein Obama, who really didn't give a crap about the U.S. military. The bill still funds Planned Parenthood.
And the border security part sucks.
Yeah, I'm not real happy about
it.
that.
It says $1.6 billion for the wall, but it says you can't build a wall. It has to be a fence. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's not the wall that, I mean, I looked at those things in San Diego. They look cool.
Yes, they did. I saw some photographs of those things. They were pretty damn impressive, Jeff.
Right? Okay, so I'm not sure that he got what he wanted there. The Democrats were all wild to fix DACA. It doesn't do that.
No.
The only thing it really does is it spends a lot of money. Okay, and a lot of it is, so, yeah, I mean, Rand Paul, who I don't always agree with, or I rarely agree with, but he said it right. He goes, Republicans are conservatives when they're out of office, and they're spendthrifts, and they're big spenders when they get in office.
Boom, boom, boom. You nailed it. How are these guys
Actually, Rand nailed it.
Well, yes, true. That would be correct. So with that aspect, and that having been said about the budget and whatnot, let me step back for a little bit for the next question and try to get sort of a bigger global view and your opinion on that. There have been a ton of Democrats who have lined up already this year saying that the GOP is falling like cordwood left and right in all of these various primaries, particularly most recently in Texas, and coming in the midterms. So if you put on your thinking cap and your prognosticator just for a bit, Jeff Dunitz, what do you see happening for the GOP in 2018 and perhaps for the midterms themselves coming up?
I have to tell you something. It's too early, and because if you remember 2016, and sadly I'm still having nightmares covering that. It was up, down, up, down, up, down the whole time.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I believe that as long as people's paychecks look, the big thing, people vote on their pocketbooks. Okay,
Yep.
Which means it's women and gay men. But no, I'm joking. But it's the kitchen issues. And if people's money is if people's, incomes are going up, then guess what? I think they're going to end up voting Republican, especially since the Democrats, one of their things is that they're going to repeal the new tax bill.
Let me throw this out there into the ozone if I can also. And again, I'd like your opinion on this. The two most recent seats that have been won by Democrats were won by Democrats in sheep's clothing. In other words, the guy that was in Pennsylvania, whose name I cannot recall, the Democrat who essentially won on a platform that one could make the pitch that this guy was even more to the right than his GOP. The GOP's guy, I just remember his name is Saccone. And the Democrat won, a younger guy.
As a candidate, he sucked on, too.
Oh, yeah, he did. Oh, Lamb, that was the guy's name, Lamb. The Democrat named Lamb He came out against Nancy Pelosi. He was pro-Second Amendment, pro-First Amendment.
Pro-life.
Are they finding that, and this must be a terrible, terrible thing for them to realize, are they starting to perhaps show a trend of, okay, Democrats can get elected if they start to act like the GOP?
I don't think so. And everybody points to the Alabama Senate race, and the only reason one was Republican.
Hey, Jeff, are you on a cell phone or a landline?
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay. You were cutting in and out
Can
there.
you hear me?
Yeah, you were cutting in and out there just for a second.
Probably because I moved the phone.
Okay.
Never mind.
Alrighty.
But the Republican candidate in that Senate race, there were rumors of him diddling little girls.
No, I missed that.
Am I right?
I believe so.
So whether it was true or not, he's not going to get votes in a conservative state. So I throw that race away.
Okay.
So
you're not lending it really any credence or any trends or any patterns or anything like that.
Well, what is it? The 5 before that, the Republicans won.
Yeah. Well, okay, then that's an indicator of this up and down motion that you're indicating occurred in 2016, and we may see the likes of which sort of a repetitive movement here. Folks, we got about another minute before the bottom of the hour break. We are going to take a break. We're going to come right back with Jeff Dunitz, and we're going to be able to speak with him the entire hour. I have got, as I said before, I've got an arseload of questions. We talked Bolton. We talked H.R. McMaster. We talked a little bit about the big picture. We talked about the budget. When we come back, I'm going to attempt to pick Jeff's brain and ask him what he may think about what's been going on recently with the FBI, with McCabe, with Comey, and his brand new book. Woohoo! Yeah. So, folks, we're going to take a break. Please come right back. We are speaking to Jeff Dunitz, lidblog.com. Don't go away.
And remember to flush.
Exactly, because we are taking a break. So if you need to do something important, I mean, this is the time to do it. Thanks. Be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplains.talkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The Right Guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk, the Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be evil.
Like, what are you talking about? Just like the last question you cut in a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin right here, live and direct, broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. 2 miles from the locus of evil on the entire left coast of the United States of America, and possibly the world, possibly even the galaxy, the Bill Mill in Sacramento, Fornicalia. It is, in fact, the locus of evil. On nights like tonight, where there's a bad and evil wind blowing, you can, in fact, smell the stench of sulfur bleeding all over the capital city here in California. Tonight is one such night. We are talking to Jeff Dunitz of the lidblog.com. He's going to be on for the entire next segment up to the top of the hour. One other aspect that I discovered that the Democrats did manage to get kicked out of that budget that we're talking about earlier. The Democrats, I understand, also managed to block any funding for 500 additional Border Patrol agents or 1,000 new U.S. immigration and customs enforcement deportation officers. And they were supposed to be the bulk of President Trump's deportation force. Now they called for additional ICE agents, and I think it was 300 or so, 328, right around in there, Customs and Border Protection officers who staff the ports. But the Democrats did manage to take a pretty significant chunk out of what it is that Trump was looking at. And, Jeff, you were asking me also if we're on Spreaker. Yes, we're in Spreaker. And you asked if we're on Facebook. Yep, we're on Facebook also. We sort of triple stream. We hit Spreaker Live. We hit Facebook on the SHR Media page live. And we also hit YouTube on the SHR Media page live as well. Anyway.
Yeah, I got to play with it because I'm trying to get video onto my show.
I'd love to see your studio. Love to see I'd love to see you do that. I got to tell you, quite frankly, if there's a guy that knows how to do it, give Sackhead Sean a blast on media, or if you have his number or something like that.
I've spoken to Sean. The fact that I use a Mac makes it a little more difficult.
Oh, okay. All righty. Got it. Before the break, I said that we're going to be talking about all the ridiculous crap that's been going on with the FBI these days, with regard to Comey and McCabe and people, John Brennan in particular, saying that the sky is falling. When McCabe gets kicked to the curb, that's the ding spring. That's the time that John Brennan knows it's going to be raining salamanders real soon here in the United States of America. Any thoughts about what's been going on with McCabe, Comey, or the FBI? Because I have tons, Jeff.
Well, my favorite is when Brennan opens his mouth. Because, I don't know if you remember, but Brennan is a liar.
Yes, documented.
I mean, I actually wrote a long post the other day that the real reason why he ripped Trump over the McCabe firing is because he wants to keep the people from looking at his record. Because he's lied to Congress. He's spied on Congress. Remember that thing with Dianne Feinstein?
Oh, yes. Yep. And
Okay.
I think he also spied on Devin Nunes as well.
That's true. Okay, so, and he lied about the drone program.
Yep.
So, I mean, the guy's a liar. So, why would anybody want to believe him now?
In my opinion, you can put him you can put him in the same category with James Clapper, who lied in open testimony.
Yeah, except for one thing. Clapper at least invented that product that turns on and off the lights.
Okay, he does have a patent to his name. That's correct. That's an excellent point.
Right? Clap on, clap off.
That's why I have you here, to point out those various salient things that I miss frequently. And that's why we love you and listen to you, Jeff Dunitz of lidblog.com.
But God forbid, when the media is reporting on it, that they mention the fact that Brennan and Clapper are liars.
And are they not the two that essentially instigated all this crap with the dossier? And we got to, just when the leftists and the Democrats, and the American media maggots for that matter, are saying that, how can Trump say these things? Because the alphabet agencies are absolutely incredibly non-biased. It's guys like Comey and Clapper and Brennan who have gone out of their way to prove how incredibly politically biased they are, in fact.
Yeah. And it's so sad because I have so much respect for the guys. Not the leadership.
No,
but
the line level.
Agents in the field.
Yep. The line level people, you bet.
And they're there working their asses off to save us. But their management is screwing up their reputation. And that's horrible. And it's really sad. And yes, I think that, and it looks like McCabe said that Comey lied, okay, when he said that in his statement after getting fired. And we know that, I still want McCabe to tell us what that plot was if Trump won, that the two FBI lovers were talking about.
Right. Strzok and Page were saying that essentially Andy, they called him Andy, and that we needed a backup plan for this. And you're right. I'd like to know, and we deserve to know what that was. What was it?
Well, doesn't it seem like an afternoon soap opera? First of all, if you were like 50 years old and number 2 guy in the FBI, would you let people call you Andy or Andrew? Okay, but putting that aside, I mean, you got 2 people cheating on their spouses and talking trash about the president. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like Days of Our Lives. Actually, they're all vampires, so it's more like Dark Shadows.
You can't write stuff like this. And as I said last night on the Sackheads radio show, we would never have found out just how deep is all this crap had Hillary Clinton been elected on November 8th. And to a degree, it's like, it's great that she refused to concede. She didn't believe in November 9th. There was so much pushback on all this stuff. And she lost despite all of the corruption that led up to her loss, her incredible, staggering loss, the likes of which she still cannot cope today. By the way, the stairs...
You know something?
Yes, sir.
She blames Comey. She blames the Russians. She blames everybody. The one person who she might be able to give blame to, and to me, the guy who should have won a Pulitzer, is Peter Schweitzer, who wrote Clinton Cash.
Yes.
He opened up everything. And not only did he open up everything, but he made it okay to criticize Hillary.
I have it on insider information just to let you know, Jeff Dunitz. I worked for the FBI. A lot of people know that, and I still speak to a lot of people in the FBI. Some are retired, some are not. One of the things that I can tell you is one of the offices in the FBI made the reading of Clinton Cash by Peter Schweitzer mandatory when they were having anything whatsoever to do with the Clintons singly or collectively or the Clinton Foundation. Perhaps that will gladden your heart and allow it to soar like an eagle when you hear stuff like that.
And I can't wait to Peter's next book is actually just came out. I'm getting a copy of it. Here he rips out Kerry and the Schmotus. And, that's what I always called him.
The Schmotus.
Well, yeah, because he's
that.
the Schmo of the United States. And who else? A lot of people, how Obama helped his friends with executive. I can't wait because when Schweitzer does it, he does it like he always with a lot of backup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean
facts, attributions.
Absolutely. And I used to work for him when I was at Breitbart.
For Schweitzer?
For Schweitzer, I worked for Dana, and I worked for Mike Flynn.
Okay, didn't know. All right, that's why you have such incredible insight on that stuff. We're going to transition. We're going to shift gears here a little bit. Do you have something else that you wanted to say, Jeff?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm answering your question.
I want to get this out there into the ozone.
Oh, let me just tell you one thing.
Okay.
Research is important because before I write about Stormy Daniels, I'm going to look at all her Playboy stuff.
Okay. Let me ask you this because I'm going to throw this out there as a question because I honestly do not know. I mean, I've read a few things before I start moving into a different direction. You mentioned Stormy Daniels. And it looks like a terribly salacious thing that happened in 2007, and there was an NDA that was signed, and allegedly Trump didn't sign it. It wasn't a valid NDA because it was crowed that Trump didn't sign it for 6 figures, and now she wants to talk, and apparently she is going to talk, when in fact Yahoo News made the mistake of printing an article about 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit less than that said Stormy Daniels was quoted as saying, well, I didn't really sleep with Donald Trump. So I'm curious if you have any either insight or information about this thing with Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump.
Well, I really didn't sleep with. She was joking. She said because we didn't sleep.
Oh.
But okay. I have to tell you something.
Okay.
I don't give a shit.
Well, that was my response on social media. I didn't give a crap in 2016. Why would I give a crap now? If
I was going to vote for someone who was, honest and pure, I wouldn't have voted for Trump.
There is no such thing in politics. There is no such.
Well, now Mike Huckabee might be.
Okay, all right. I can kind of go there, except for perhaps a handful of people. Nah, I'm not believing that. Not in D.C. Because here's the deal: you and I both elected Donald Trump to get shit done, and oddly enough,
I elected him not only to get shit done, but to make sure the United States is no longer the butt joke of the world.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure that we get more money in our pockets.
All of these things are happening in a year. President Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, is making good on the bulk of his campaign promises when he can, when he has the ability to.
And the fact that he might have gotten it on the side, it's not the way I live, but it's really between him and Melania. It has nothing to do with me.
Well, and isn't that what everyone was saying? Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots were saying that for years, literally, for years, about the Clintons. Hey, it's between Hillary and Bill. Just leave them alone.
Well, two problems with that. Number one, the real problem with Bubba was that he committed perjury.
And it was on duty.
It was perjury on duty. Well, yeah. And, and don't forget JFK, a hero.
My God.
To people. Okay. This guy had more sex than underwear. I mean, he had them hiding in the closet.
Yes, he did. He would have the Secret Service purposely take Jackie or divert her other places, and as the squirrel was going on over there, he had a thing about swimming in the nude and then having actresses, people of import women coming in, like hot and cold running water and hot and cold running women through the White House. Seymour Hersh wrote an entire book about that, and if you haven't read it, I think it's called Camelot, something like that, about Camelot. In any event.
And the other thing about Trump versus, like, Bubba,
yeah,
I mean, Bubba's been accused of raping women.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, heavens, yes. Very true.
Okay. So, yeah, you know what? It's between him and Melania. As long as it's not anyone in my family doing it, and I know my wife isn't doing it, and I'm certainly not doing it. I'm too busy writing. So, and I wouldn't anyway. But because it's not my business.
You're Jeff Dunitz, and that's why everyone loves you in any event. We got about 10 more minutes left. And what I'd like to do is, because I think this particular topic in these series of questions will end up taking the rest of the time. John Dowd is out as personal attorney for Donald John Trump, and a guy named Joe DeGenova is in. And I think one of the major reasons that Dowd decided that he was going to go out, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that there was pretty much immediate friction in philosophies between Dowd and DeGenova. And DeGenova is a former federal prosecutor, I believe, from New York or the Northeast, somewhere like that. He appears on Fox News quite frequently, and he's fairly opinionated, but of the things that I've heard him say, he backs what he says and thinks with facts, which is why I appreciate the guy. But, of course, the leftists, the Democrats and the American media maggots are falling all over that as well, saying that the Trump White House is falling apart. He's going to get bad advice, and everything is terrible, and the Earth will soon stop rotating on its axis. What do you think about John Dowd leaving and Joe DeGenova coming in as Trump attorneys?
I think that Dowd isn't. Trump wants his attorneys to really hit them up, to really get aggressive, like he is. And I think that the word is that that's not how Dowd likes to operate. The other thing is that Dowd does not want Trump to testify.
Yes.
No way, no how.
Yep.
Trump wants to testify.
And has said so.
We know that most innocent men don't want to testify. Of course he wants to testify. He wants to get this thing over. And that's why he's not going to fire Mullen. Because if he fires Mullen, he knows Trump isn't an idiot. He knows that if he fires the guy, it's going to start all over with somebody else.
You just addressed my next question. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you wrote an entire piece on this. in your blog,
right.
lidblog.com, about is Trump going to fire Mueller? And
Mueller. Why do I keep saying Mullen?
I don't know.
Because St. Patrick's Day was over the weekend. And the best part of it was the meme in the front, because it had an asteroid about to hit the Earth, and Stelza from CNN saying, well, before we get to the story about Earth's demise, first let's ask, is he going to fire Mueller? I mean, that's what's going on. I mean,
that is.
The media is hyping on it, but Trump would not be smart to do that. I think that Trump is a very smart man.
I would agree. He should, and I've said it for a while now. Just let Mueller go. Let Mueller go. Let him do what he's going to do. If he had anything in his hand from the very outset of this thing, he would have squished Donald John Trump's testicles like crazy, like they were in a vice from the very outset, if he had a lot of stuff to go with it.
Right.
Now, the indictments that he's managed to pull off have not really had anything to do directly with Trump collusion, the elections, Russia. Michael Flynn got hosed. Manafort got hosed. Manafort is pushing back, and I think Flynn is going to be pushing back as well, particularly, and let me throw this into the mix. This is more crap in the cat box. If it's discovered that the FBI went to the FISA court with a piece of crap with evidence to indicate that the FISA court was misled, all the attorneys that are defending Manafort, there were two other guys whose names I can't think of, Flynn, all of these guys, man, they have got the easiest appeal in the world if that's discovered.
Yeah, I have to tell you, when Trump hired Flynn, I wrote that day that it was a bad move. Not Flynn. What's his name? Oh, God. The Manafort.
Oh, Paul Manafort, okay.
I wrote right away that was a bad move because he was too tied up with the Ukrainian government.
Too much baggage that he was bringing, essentially.
Too much baggage. It's not only too much baggage, but there was... We know there was something going on there between him and the Russian leader of Ukraine. So, and that has nothing to do with Trump. That was all him.
Yes. Yeah, he is not connected in that, because if he was, we would have discovered. We got about 5 more minutes.
That scared me when he did that.
We got about 5 more minutes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, although during the convention when they tried to steal delegates from Trump, it was Manafort who stopped it because he had the experience.
I find that there is some conflict going in. If I'm not mistaken, I think Trump at one point told someone somewhere that he kind of likes chaos. Joe DiGenova believes that Trump was set up pretty much from advance. And Trump says, as you indicated, that he would like to testify, and you indicated that you don't think Trump will fire Mueller. And the thing that the leftists are also throwing in the mix is that Dowd was sort of the front man for Mueller, the go-between, the liaison, so what the hell is going to happen now? So I have to ask you, in the last couple of minutes that we have left, do you believe that Donald Trump will testify?
I know he wants to. I am not an attorney. But every attorney I spoke to said, don't let him testify.
Okay.
Because, and not because he did anything, but these special prosecutors are really great at nailing someone for perjury.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a real perjury. It could be, if you said I went to the bathroom on Tuesday and you actually, you can't remember back that far and it was actually a Wednesday, you're screwed. Look at Scooter Libby.
Oh, I'd forgotten about him, yeah.
Clinton was being investigated for a bad land deal. With him, it was perjury.
Yep.
He lied about having an affair.
That's what got Clinton, if we recall.
But you know something? As the liberals would say, and I don't know if they're wrong, what married man who's sleeping with an intern would say publicly that I'm having an affair?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
And I had a friend, when I was the publisher of the Nickelodeon magazine, one of my salespeople was an intern the year before Monica.
Uh-huh.
And she told me that Clinton was trying to pick up all the interns.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, SOP for Slick Willie, and that's his. Isn't it odd? You know, we expected of Hillary Clinton. She's still talking out of the corner of her mouth, trying to yell, "Oh my God, what happened? It was so terrible. I was robbed. I was cheated." By the way, the stairs, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the stairs on which she tripped have now been destroyed, and they've been removed with jackhammers. So I just thought that I would let everybody know that, again, that's what happens when you cross a Clinton, and even in foreign countries as well.
Well, it was the Russians, though. I have proof that it was the Russians.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, folks, it's the end of the hour. We're going to have to be going here in just a little bit. Jeff Dunitz, number one, thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight. Thank you for being here
having me on.
so terribly late, and it's past due for Betty Bye because it's almost the magic witching hour on the right coast over there in New York City. So in any event...
Well, my favorite show starts in a half an hour.
Your favorite show? What's that?
Baggage. Oh, on the Game Network? Oh, that's so funny. But anyway. So, you know how...
Never even heard of it.
Let me put it this way. It's the dating game, but trailer trashier.
Great. Wonderful.
It's hosted by Jerry Springer.
No. He's still around?
Yeah. Well, he used to be the mayor of Cincinnati.
Yes, he did. That's absolutely correct. That a lot of people didn't know that he was the mayor of Cincinnati. What a weird thing that is. Okay, finally, Jeff Dunitz. Like I say, thank you ever so kindly for taking the time to speak to us tonight and tell us where you can be read, your social media, etc. Please.
Lidblog.com, LIDBLOG.com, and at Yid with Lid at Twitter. And if you like to read Jewish newspapers, I am the political columnist for the Jewish Star. And also, I do a shopping list before we go to the supermarket. I don't know if that counts. I don't publish it, though.
Okay. But my understanding is it's very linear. It's written perfectly in proper columns, etc. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a plus in your head. That is a feather in your cap, sir. Folks,
and I invite all your millions of readers to go to my blog and read the John Bolton post and tweet it out, because you as well as I know that Facebook tends to screw conservative sites. And the traffic I used to get from Facebook is halved in the last year.
I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And it a little bit of schadenfreude, though, that Zuckerberg is in the sites right now. Folks, we've been talking to Jeff Dunitz at lidblog.com. Thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight. We're going to come right back, and we will delve head first. You may get a concussion out of it. We're going to delve head first into more buttery political goodness. Don't go away.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk, the Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about? You mean just the last question that cut a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right. Oh, God.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you ever so kindly for listening tonight to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. The first hour has flown by. I want to say thank you ever so kindly. I've said it to him on social media. I said it in chat, and I'll say it again. Thank you ever so kindly to Jeff Dunitz for donating an hour to the show, because anybody that speaks to me live on the East Coast, which is sort of the bad thing about having a late-night radio show that starts at 8 o'clock here. It's 11 o'clock on the damn East Coast if you want to listen to me live. I'm discovering, of course, that I'm apparently a lot more popular in podcasts than I am in terms of live. Now, speaking about the SHR Media Network, you may be wondering where Jersey Joe has been these days, because he's been gone for about 3 weeks or so now. He had a really bad flu, and he wasn't able to come back. There were just a host of circumstances. We hope that Jersey Joe's is able to make it back, but just because of personal things that had been going on in his life, Jersey Joe has had to put this aside and take care of business, basically, because if you're not using this as a big, huge money-making affair, and let's admit it, I am not making millions of dollars. Now, I am because of my shameless contract, the likes of which you saw last night because I showed it to you on the Sackheads radio show. I'm making a good 6 figures out of the Sackheads, but I'm not making millions of dollars. And I do this mostly because I think it's a whole lot of fun and keeps me off the streets. And I've also discovered that I don't do nearly as much heroin as I used to since I'm able to vent my spleen here on the SHR Media Network. Now, that having been said, there are a couple of things that are occurring in Sacramento these days. And Sacramento is, in fact, the belly of the beast. And I was sent I'm going to try to find this. Maybe somebody in chat can find this out for me because, I have to talk and run the show and make sure that things, that audio comes through and whatnot. Sackhead Sean sent me a link indicating that there's some new information from MSN that apparently at Travis Air Force Base, which is in California, it's west of Sacramento on I-80. And Travis Air Force Base is where the C-5 transporters have a unit there. The C-5 people fly out of there. And also Travis is where the TR-1 and TR-2 people fly out of. It's where they used to fly the Blackbirds out of. Beale Air Force Base. But at Travis, I happen to know for a fact that the C-5 people live there. He sent a link which unfortunately didn't translate for me, and if somebody could find out something like this, it appears as though something has happened at Travis Air Force Base tonight. There was a gate crash, and the driver was killed, and it looks as though they're thinking that it may have been some kind of a terrorist incident. So, Sackhead Sean, thank you ever so kindly for that. And maybe I can get a link or find out some information about that. And then also in Sacramento recently, there were some, I can't say riots, but there were some protests tonight. The Sacramento Police Department shot a guy about a week ago. And, of course, it was Sac PD versus a black guy. It turned out that he had a cell phone in his hands, and they shot 20 rounds at him, and he killed the 2 officers that were involved. Killed this apparent black young man, and his name was Stevan Clark. And so they decided tonight that it would be a great thing to create some kind of a big old human chain and keep all the folks out of the Kings, the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are a basketball team. And folks that were going to go to the basketball team tonight, they decided that it would be a good idea to block folks from getting to the Golden One Center as protesters. And they also decided that it was going to be a great thing to shut down I-5, which is a major freeway in California and runs from essentially the Mexican border all the way up to the border with Canada. And it's a major, major thoroughfare. And as it runs through Sacramento, the protesters thought, hey, here's a nifty idea. We'll just go ahead and do that. I got a ton of stories for the rest of the night. A metric ton. I didn't get to ask probably 50% of the questions that I had for Jeff Dunitz tonight, which is why, Jeff, you are always invited to come back. Customarily, though, when I go on my show, if I don't have a guest, and once a guest is concluded, I try to start things out in this fashion. And for once, I do have...
It's time for happy stories and good times.
So let's start out with a happy story if we can. And in my opinion, this is a happy story. And this comes...
What happened at El Rancho High School in Pico Rivera? That's southeast of downtown L.A. And the 17-year-old student who recorded this says the voice is his El Rancho High School U.S. government teacher, Gregory Salcido. Listen.
Stop. Let's do the headline here because we're going to hear it, but if you hadn't heard originally, the teacher who called the U.S. military the lowest of the low, he got fired.
Here.
The data is in. We don't have a good military. Think about it. People who you know are over there. Your stupid Uncle Louie or whatever. They're dumb.
And Salcedo, apparently prompted by a student wearing military-themed clothing, kept going with the insults.
They're not like high-level thinkers. They're not academic people. They're not intellectual people. They're the lowest of our low.
They're the lowest of the low.
In all, Sandra, this rant lasted a full 5 minutes in front of those students.
Wow, it's hard to believe, and then you hear the teacher's words. Jonathan, is the teacher at this point, is he saying anything now?
Well, he obviously said a lot, but not much more publicly. So far, just a post on his Facebook page, which reads...
Okay, stop. By the way, Gregory Salcedo, this is me laughing at your ass, because even in California, apparently, occasionally, not with regularity, mind you, but occasionally, there can be consequences for being a fucktard. And by the way, sir, from me to you personally, and I mean it only in the best way, you are a fucktard. Schadenfreude. Just saying.
Reads in part, quote, I don't think it's wise for me to make any specific comments, but I want my friends, family, and students to know we are fine and we respect the rights of free expression for all individuals. El Rancho Unified School District officials are now investigating, we're told. The 17-year-old who recorded the teacher doesn't want to reveal his identity, but he does want an apology.
But notice this. This is, again, potentially, this is where we have to kill the messenger. Because if a 17-year-old recorded this stupid fucking rant in a high school, and it's not the job of the teacher to go off on a rant on our military, calling the people who serve and who have died for our country the lowest of the low, and dumb shits, that's exactly what he said. They were dumb shits. They had to censor that out. And that there are consequences? I find this kind of shocking, and, you know, I'm sure this guy is going to get an attorney and do his very level best to get his job back. But in terms of Schadenfreude, I want this motherfucker to sweat.
I think that he should apologize not only to me, you know, to all the veterans who fought for our freedom, the veterans who sacrificed their lives.
Correct.
Now, the teacher appears to have been in trouble before, placed on leave in 2012 for allegedly striking a student, an incident he described at the time, Sandra, as grossly exaggerated. We'll keep you updated on whether the school district takes any disciplinary action in this case.
Okay, so apparently there is a history. Quiet. I've heard enough of you. So the Board of Education president, Aurora Villon, said the El Rancho Unified School District reached this is again great, they reached a unanimous decision to fire Gregory Salcedo, that history teacher at El Rancho High School. Oh, by the way, did I tell you this? At one point, he was an elected Pico Rivera city councilman. That was reported by the Los Angeles Times. So you can imagine my thoughts and prayers are with Gregory Salcedo. And I mean that in terms of thoughts and prayers, like the people who hate the thoughts and prayers from Parkland, Florida. That's how I mean thoughts and prayers for you, Gregory Salcedo. Okay, moving right along. You haven't seen this story, and you haven't heard much of it, but we're going to do BZ's reversal axiom on this. Because the headline is, if you were not aware, the country of South Africa decided that they're going to seize land from white farmers. They're going to confiscate the land, and there will not be compensation for the land of white farmers in South Africa. South African's parliament made it a 241 to 83 vote to do so. Confiscation and no compensation. And one of the quotes, this is a direct quote from an official in South Africa regarding the land seizures. This was sort of an add-on comment. And, quote, "We are not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least for now." So now you know the basic story. Did you hear a lot about that? Was that trumpeted on high through the American media maggots for a week, 2 weeks, because if you know the roles were reversed and some country was threatening to confiscate land by black farmers without compensation, this story would have been in the media for, I don't know, a month straight. And it hasn't been. Now, there's an additional follow-up story on that. There is an Australian individual, a minister, who says he's going to defy what he called, and this is a quote, crazy lefties, and he has promised aid to South African farmers. He's Australia's Home Affairs Minister, Peter Dutton. And once he said this, he was decried as a racist. But he dismissed those cries of racism over his plan to resettle South African white minority farmers in Australia, saying he ignores the confected outrage from some of the crazy lefties at The Guardian and the Huffington Post. And as I'm sure you can well guess, he faced a backlash after he first announced the farmers needed special attention because of the epidemic of violence engulfing them. He noted that Australia has refuge, humanitarian, and other visa programs which have the potential to help some of these people. He said he'd asked his department to look at the options because from what I have seen, they do need some help from a civilized country like ours. People have called him a racist. He decries and says, no, he's not a racist. He maintains that help for South Africans, for the farmers, isn't because they're white. He wants to help South African farmers who are persecuted because of that. And the role would be true in reverse. Again, can you imagine the claim? Or can you imagine the claim, let's reverse that too. Let's say Australia, the situation were reversed, and a country on Africa, on the continent, was displacing and confiscating without compensation the land of black farmers. And those farmers had a place to go. What would have happened had this minister, Dutton of Australia, said, no, stop, halt, we cannot do that? Again, the uproar would be long. It would be terrible. It would be furious. It would be lasting well into a month. You know how that definitely goes. So here's what I really enjoy about this. Despite everything that's going on, Dutton said that he's going to push ahead regardless. He spoke to a Sydney radio station, and he said this, and this is a quote. There's a lot of outrage from some of the crazy lefties at the ABC, The Guardian, and Huffington Post. They can express concern and draw mean cartoons about me and all the rest of it. They don't realize how completely dead they are to me. I have to like that. There is a very serious situation developing in South Africa. Something like 400 white farmers have been brutally murdered in the last 12 months. The farmers were being murdered by squatters intent on driving them off their land, he said, and it would be a national crisis if the same thing were happening to Australian farmers. True, and true. So to me, that's a happy story. Speaking of happy stories, and so much news.
Now from the top Democrat on the
Quiet. So much news, so little time. I'm trying to find the next story that I want to go to. And I find this particular story proof of the fact that our situation, the United States criminal system, does work. I can't put this quite into the category of happy stories, but I will put this into the category of everything is not terrible, everything is not tragic, and when you mostly allow the system to do its job and to work, it does its job and it works. Here's a headline. The officer who fatally shot Justine Damond becomes himself charged with murder and turns himself in. And perhaps you didn't remember this. I think this was in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. There was a police officer in Minneapolis who fatally shot a woman from Australia in July last year, 2017. He was charged with murder after he turned himself in on a warrant after it was issued for his arrest. There's a guy named Officer Mohammed Noor. He turned himself in this week in connection with the 2017 death of Justine Damond, his attorney confirmed. The criminal complaint remained sealed on Tuesday, but according to the jail roster, Noor was booked on a third-degree murder charge for perpetrating an eminently dangerous act while showing a depraved mind. The second-degree manslaughter charge alleges he acted with culpable negligence, creating unreasonable risk. The situation was this Australian woman, and I believe she was a visitor to the United States, she was shot July 15th of 2017. And that was minutes after calling 911 to report a possible sexual assault in the alley behind her home. She was a 40-year-old life coach, and her death drew basically international attention, and it cost the police chief of Minneapolis her job. Sorry, don't let the door hit you on the way out. And it forced major revisions to the department's policy on body cameras. So Noor, there's a backstory to this, as you would expect. Noor is a 32-year-old Somali American. Stop right there. Minneapolis, Minnesota. There is a massive Somali community, Muslim, in Minneapolis. And so what happened, the information that I have from my various sources indicate that they wanted this guy to be a resplendent representative of the Muslim Somali community. So here's what they did. They pushed him through the academy, and they pushed him through training. And they don't believe that he got many of the concepts. And apparently here, because there's an issue of training, education, he had very little, if any, experience. So apparently there are training issues, and there are hiring issues, and there are retention issues with this particular individual, because people are saying that he caught a pass on getting out into patrol as quickly as possible. And a lot of people were uncomfortable in terms of sitting with him in the automobile. So he hasn't talked publicly about the case. He declined to be interviewed by state investigators. There was let me see if I can get to this. There was a police officer who was with Noor now at the time of the shooting. His name was Matthew Harity. And he told investigators that he was startled by a loud noise right before Damond approached the driver's side window of their police SUV. So Harity, okay, this witness, is driving. He was behind the driver's wheel. He said Noor fired his weapon from the passenger seat. Damon died of a gunshot wound to the abdomen. The officers did not turn on their body cams until after the shooting, and there was no squad camera video of the incident. So people complained about the lack of video from the incident. It was widely criticized. There was a kerfuffle, and the Minneapolis police chief went out. Let me tell you this, quite frankly. Any officer, except in the most extreme of circumstances, and I cannot emphasize this enough, having been in law enforcement for 41 years and worked a good deal of it in patrol, any officer who would essentially be stupid enough, absent the most heinous of emergent circumstances, fire his firearm from the interior of a vehicle is not just a blubbering moron, but is also one of the most unsafe blubbering morons in all of police history. Make no mistake, cops have made a lot of terrible and tragic mistakes throughout time. But once I discovered that this guy had done precisely that, and of course he was still on the force, if they were smart, no one else ever rode with this guy again. So the moral of the tale is things are not always terrible. There are protests occurring in downtown Sacramento right now. If you let law do its job, with some exceptions, there are some exceptions. One of them would be, let's say O.J. Simpson. Law generally gets it right. And so from this situation, from the incident and the information that I have, they did the right thing. So in my opinion, that's a positive thing. That's a good thing. And that's the reason that I bring the information to you right now. The other thing that I didn't have any time to promo is the fact that there's a great article, another one, by Kurt Schlichter that just came out. And I have to let you guys know about it tonight. It came out yesterday, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. And we all know the kerfuffle that has occurred recently with good old Andrew McCabe, the best friend, apparently, of John Brennan. And I'm going to have a post about that in the not too terribly distant future. If this comes through, I've got a guy coming on next week, next Tuesday, and possibly next Thursday, named Larry Kogan. I spoke about him and I interviewed him at Freedom Fest last year in Las Vegas in July 2017. He had some incredible, essentially deep state information to give me. He's an attorney. I'm trying to see if he's going to respond to some of my emails. He wants the full 2 hours on Tuesday, which I'm going to give him because apparently he has some rather startling revelations about the deep state in D.C. and in general, and I would love to hear these. He hasn't gotten back to me. And if he doesn't, I have some really significant posts coming up and some significant things that I'd like to reveal to you guys coming up on Tuesday. But unfortunately, at this point, that's kind of up in the air. That having been said, the article by Kurt Schlichter, exclusive, McCabe's secret memos revealed. Attorney General Jeff Sessions canned FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe for doing things much worse than anything Robert Mueller and his pack of Democrats accused former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn of doing. But that didn't spare liberals everywhere from feeling shocked and outraged that one of their own should be held in a tiny way responsible for his crimes. Emergency rooms across the land filled with people seeking whiplash treatment. Last week, the FBI was a paragon of integrity that only Putin-licking traitors would question. Today, the FBI is a Trump-loving den of red-hatted MAGA men because the Bureau's own ethics people recommended McCabe's sacking. Quite a 180, isn't it? But there was something that cheered up the faithful. Some liberal, wonder who, leaked word that McCabe kept personal notes about his time at the FBI and that these were now in Mueller's hands. Boy, oh boy, this time Trump is going down for sure. Isn't he? Or is he? Or will he? Folks, you know what? You got to hang on to find out because we're at the bottom of the hour break. We have the final segment coming up. We're going to read the rest of the Kurt Schlichter article, and of course, there's a lot more buttery political goodness coming. Don't go away.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey guys, this is Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network.
And this is Sackhead Clint as the best-looking one of the bunch. It's my duty to remind you to check us out on our YouTube channel.
And don't forget to check us out on the SHR Media Facebook page. The best-looking one? Really? You going to go there?
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on the SHR
Voters' Choice.
Media.
I have the award.
Fine.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show.
And Sackheads BZ.
Wait, I'm Sean.
No, I'm Sean.
All right, listen, we'll figure this out every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on the
Where the hell is Clint?
On the SHR Media Network, www.shrmedia.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube. Now, right back to this amazing show right here on the SHR Media Network.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Bazang, bazing, bazoom. Wait a minute, I can't say that. This is the final segment of the Bloviating Zeppelins. That's me. Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. That's it. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in California. That's here. 2 miles from the veritable Bill Mill, the locus of evil on the entire West Coast, the capital of the state of California, in Sacramento. And this studio is 2 miles, roughly 2 miles away from that locus of evil in California. I started with a Kurt Schlichter article, and I was talking to Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy who isn't. I mean, he's not unpleasant, but he is blind. And we were talking about some of the things that have occurred in the UK. After I go to this article by Kurt Schlichter, I'm going to go to another article that just came out about some startling information that's coming through in the UK that hopefully won't make its way across the pond over here. The article by Kurt Schlichter was called Exclusive McCabe's Secret Memos Revealed, and General Jeff Sessions recently canned FBI Director Andrew McCabe, and essentially what was occurring is that Kurt Schlichter was weighing in on McCabe's notes, and what he said were this, but there was Something that cheered up the faithful. Some liberal, I wonder who, leaked word that McCabe kept personal notes about his time at the FBI, and that these were now in Mueller's hands. Boy, oh boy, this time Trump is going down for sure. The following are not excerpts of McCabe's notes, but they totally could be. And they go like this. Well, I am starting this memorandum because I need to make a record in case Donald Trump fires Jim Comey and Robert Mueller gets named special counsel and then I get fired. So I'm keeping these notes starting today, March 21st, 2018. I mean March 21st, 2017. Yeah, 2017. So I wore that blue tie with the silver stripes Jim once said he liked, but this morning he didn't say anything. And I know he saw it. Did I do something to make him mad at me? I hate this. We had a briefing today, and I could hardly stand it. Bank robbers, drug dealers, terrorists. Boring. Brought up the important stuff like how the New York Times was reporting that Trump's people once had a dinner where they served borscht. Who's following up on that? Treason. I can't tell you how disgusted I am with the Republican Party for embracing Trump. Thankfully, there are still powerful and respected conservative voices out there supporting #the resistance and advocating total abject submission to the establishment like Bill Kristol and Matthew Dowd. This morning, I briefed the director on my plan for the James Comey lecture series on integrity and dedication. He said he loved it. I was walking on air. Then he repeated a quote by Abe Lincoln, and wow, Jim is just amazing. Had a big meeting today with Peter Strzok and Lisa Page about the Flynn investigation. They spent the whole time texting each other across the table and giggling. Today was my first meeting with Trump. I still can't call him President Trump. I went into the Oval Office with Jim and sat down, and when I introduced myself, he said, "You know, you look like that guy from TV. Who is that guy, Reince?" And Priebus said, "Bill Pullman?" And Trump said, "No, that other guy." And Priebus said, "Ed Begley Jr.?" And Trump said, "Yeah, Ed Begley Jr." Then he called me Ed the whole time. Jerk. Jim asked me today about the hundreds of thousands of dollars Terry McAuliffe gave to my Democrat wife's campaign while I was helping to investigate Terry's friend, Hillary Clinton, who was handling this whole not winning thing with the remarkable grace and dignity we expect of the greatest woman in the history of mankind. I mean, womankind. Yeah, with a Y. Anyway, I got a little sensitive and said that it was totally normal for the wife of a high official in a federal law enforcement agency investigating a politician to get hundreds of thousands of dollars from one of the politician's close pals. Jim said, "Don't worry, Andy. I decided you were in the clear months ago before I even talked to you about it." I can't believe that Trump fired Director Comey. Jim was out of the office, so I had to pack up all the pictures of himself, his many, many plaques and awards for integrity, and all the classified memorandums he plans to send to the media. Sheesh. Someone tell Strzok and Page, get a room. I thought Jim had to be down in the dumps, so I texted him, "How you doing?" Smiley face emoticon. "Nothing. It's been an hour. Is he mad at me?" I was at another meeting with Trump today, and he started doing impressions of... I'm sorry. I was at another meeting with Trump today, and he started doing impressions of Jeff Flake. Everyone laughed, but I totally only pretended to laugh. Senator Flake is a national treasure. Just got the memo from my pals at the Times about how I need to stop leaking about collusion and start leaking about obstruction. Noted. This Peter Strzok Lisa Page thing just broke in the news, and now he's texting me to see if he can crash on my couch for a while, thinking of texting back, "New phone, who dis?" Somehow that Man in Motion song from St. Elmo's Fire got stuck in my head today. No one rocks like Richard Marx. I had another meeting with the president and Director Ray, who seems like a guy who knows how to play ball, but who'll never rock the integrity like Jim. Trump looked at me and said, "Do I know you? That's obstruction, right?" I was in the car coming back with Director Ray and whistling Man in Motion, and Director Ray says, "Oh, I love John Parr." That was close, but I kept my cool and just nodded. Nobody plays the game like Andy McCabe. This stupid Las Vegas thing is really getting in the way of the important stuff, such as the upcoming indictments of the Russian companies behind Twitter accounts like at Michigan Megamaniac and at Hillary for Leavenworth 2016. Supposedly I'm under investigation for leaking and lying. Like, those things are wrong when someone like me does them. This whole Florida school incident is a bum rap of the FBI. Like we're supposed to know how to locate every guy who posts on YouTube comments about shooting up a school. We need to focus on the real criminals, like the millions of NRA members and gun owners who had nothing to do with it. Anyway, if we followed up on every report like that, we'd never have time to track down 41 follower Twitter trolls who did not support Hillary Clinton. I can't believe it! I got fired for lying! Me, a senior FBI official! It's actually come to this, that someone like me gets treated like one of the normals. Mueller has got to put a stop to the insanity before all of us have to obey the same laws as everyone else. And the final note, by Andrew McCabe. I saw Jim in the produce section of the Trader Joe's today. He was wearing sweatpants and comparing zucchinis. He asked how I was doing, and I told him that I thought Stranger Things Season 2 was really weak. He said he's currently binge-watching Season 4 of Matlock. I asked him about his book, and I told him I was thinking of writing my own. He liked the title Justice Obstructed, better than Obstructed Justice. We agreed to get together once our lawyers say it's okay for us to be seen together again. And that was Kurt Schlichter's article. Great stuff. Now, I told you I had an article from the UK, and I hope they keep this crap in the UK and they don't bring it here. And I'm bringing it to you now because I was just commiserating with the unpleasant blind guy in chat, Dave Milner. And we were talking about some things in the UK. Here's an article that just came out. The headline, if it doesn't scare you, it certainly sure as shit should. Boy, try saying that again 3 times. Talk about the alliteration. UK to imprison people who view far-right propaganda online for up to 15 years. And I'm not making this up. This is from the UK. People in the United Kingdom could face up to 15 years in prison for repeatedly viewing, quote, far-right propaganda or, quote, terrorist material online, according to a report. According to The Guardian, a new maximum penalty of 15 years imprisonment will also apply to terrorists who publish information about members of the armed forces, police, and intelligence services for the purposes of preparing acts of terrorism, while the tightening of the law around viewing terrorist material is a part of the review of the government's counter-terrorism strategy following the increasing frequency of terrorist attacks in Britain this year. And the UK does not have a First Amendment. Users who view the forbidden content only once by mistake or out of curiosity will not be charged, and it is reported that there will be protections for journalists, academics, and others who may have a legitimate reason to view such material. Stop. Who, in their estimation, would have a legitimate reason to view that material? Who falls under that category, I ask you? Well, that's right. Primarily leftists. That's who that would apply to. I want to make sure that those who view despicable terror content online, including the jihadi websites, far-right propaganda, who determines what is far-right propaganda? Well, they do, and they're leftists. I think you can come to that conclusion. And bomb-making instructions face the full force of the law, declared British Home Secretary Amber Rudd. There is currently a gap in the law around material that is viewed or streamed from the internet without being permanently downloaded. And I think you can see enough of where that's going. Excuse me. We told you about Australia. We told you about South Africa. We told you about what's happening in the UK. There's a common theme to this, the loss of your rights. Right now, there's an onus these days on guns, on firearms. So why don't we do a little speculation? This is sort of a little speculative game or a treatise by me. What if we decided that we were going to treat the First Amendment like this series in the UK, like what's happening there, the lack of the First Amendment, the lack of free speech, the clamping down on your ability to read and speak as you wish. So what if we decided that we were going to treat the First Amendment here in the United States like we treat the Second Amendment? So what we're going to do is we're going to try to apply what leftists would consider to be common sense gun control proposals to freedom of speech and to the press. For example, here's a whole bunch of examples. The First Amendment is not an individual right. It applies only to members of a well-regulated militia. All speech and methods of communication are prohibited unless they were in common use, okay, at the time that the First Amendment was ratified. Now, these include radio, TV, motion pictures, audio, visual recordings, telephones, telegraph, the internet, recordings, blogs, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Reddit, Google, YouTube, Instagram, etc. And so a universal background check is going to be required to speak or publish, including a mental health exam conducted by a therapist who thinks President Trump is mentally ill. The exam is particularly essential for news anchors on CNN and MSNBC. Now, as with privately owned guns, speech must be disassembled and unworkable within the District of Columbia, and, there's precedent for that, the District of Columbia versus Heller 2008 and Congress, for example. A speaker or a publisher must show good cause for a license to speak publicly, subject, though, however, to the discretion of a government bureaucrat. A license to speak or publish is subject to a minimum 3-day waiting period. Only logical. A speaker or a publisher must be at least 21 years of age. A national database of registered speakers and publishers shall be created and maintained by the United States Department of Justice. It's only right. The media show loophole has to be closed. Magazines are going to be limited to 10 words in order to prevent mass casualties of disfavored speech. And no gun control advocate may shout fire in a crowded theater, even if the theater is on fire. Schenck versus the United States in 1918, notwithstanding. Speech, which is directed to inciting or producing imminent gun control regulations and is likely to incite or produce such action, is prohibited. Brandenburg versus Ohio, that's 1969, notwithstanding. Soliciting progressive speech in a public college or university is subject to a $5 million security fee and is permissible only within a safe space stocked with NRA publications. Let's see, two more. Just neither the National Federation of Teachers or the National Education Association may speak against school personnel carrying a firearm within a public school. And finally, notwithstanding New York Times versus Sullivan, 1964, and Gertz versus Welch, Incorporated, 1974, it shall be unlawful to slander or libel gun control advocates, e.g., the ACLU is a terrorist organization. So that's what would happen if we decided that we're going to treat the First Amendment like we currently treat the Second Amendment. Here's something new that just came in today. Fired FBI official, and now I have to tell you that this is going to be a little bit biased, but I want you to hear it anyway. Exclusive. Fired FBI official authorized criminal probe of Sessions, sources
House
say.
Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff. Congressman, thank you for joining us this morning. As we've been talking.
This is George Stephanopoulos talking to Adam Schiff, the Democrat leader on the House Intelligence Committee. Take it away, Adam baby.
Here this morning, the president has continued his series of tweets. Want to pull up the latest attack on Robert Mueller. Why does the Mueller team have 13 hardened Democrats, some big crooked Hillary supporters, 0 Republicans? Another Dem recently added.
Sorry, that's the truth. The truth hurts. It is the truth.
Does anyone think this is fair? And yet there is no collusion. Of course, Robert Mueller himself was a registered Republican, but we've seen this series of tweets right now.
But is what Trump said false? And the answer is no, it isn't, Georgie.
Statement from the Trump lawyer suggesting the entire investigation should be shut down. What would happen if the president made that move?
Well, I would hope that it would prompt all Democrats and Republicans in the House to pass an independent counsel law and reinstate Bob Mueller. This would undoubtedly result in a constitutional crisis. And I think Democrats and Republicans need to speak out about this right now. I think, George, you just pointed to the single most important development of the week.
But what did we just talk to Jeff Dunitz about? And the conclusion that he drew is that, Trump is not going to fire Mueller. He's talking about it. But, at this stage of the game, how do you judge Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head? Results. Not speech, results.
And that is, at the same time, it's revealed that the special counsel is looking at business records of the Trump organization. And I've always thought the money laundering issue was the most serious. You have the
money laundering issue? Really? What money laundering issue is that? Adam, baby. Oh, that's right. There isn't one because I don't see it splayed across the page of the New York Times or the Washington Post or anything like that. And by the way, the funny thing is, the Trump administration, the Trump company and Trump Holdings LLC have been cooperating with the Mueller investigation from the very get-go. The subpoena was issued to make it look as if the Trump company was not.
The president, through his lawyer, trying to shut down the Mueller investigation and speaking out against special counsel. Members.
Hello. It's an opinion. He hasn't done it. He gets to have an opinion. He hasn't done it, Adam. He hasn't done it, Adam.
Need to speak out now. Don't wait for the crisis. But I would hope that that would be the result, that we would affirm our system of checks and balances and appoint an independent counsel.
President also continually repeating there was no collusion during the campaign and the tweets over the last 48 hours.
True. There has been no collusion. There has been no collusion because do you think a year into this, if there was collusion, that Robert Mueller wouldn't have said anything about it? Or that it wouldn't have leaked all across the fruited plain and been picked up by all the American media maggots? Because it hasn't, that tends to lend credence to the fact that there is no there. However, from ABC News, nearly a year before Attorney General Jeff Sessions fired senior official Andrew McCabe for what Sessions called a lack of candor. Note how this article is crafted. We'll come back to that. A lack of candor. McCabe oversaw a federal criminal investigation into whether Sessions lacked candor when testifying before Congress about contacts with Russian operatives, sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. What's not in that lead paragraph, and a lead paragraph is if you go to any journalism schools or you've been taught anything about journalism, the first paragraph is supposed to be the grabber. It's supposed to be the nut grabber. It's supposed to grab you by the scrotum or the vagina and hook you into the story. So the important things of that story need to be in that first paragraph. What isn't in that first paragraph? Oh, that would be something like facts. And what facts would be missing from that vitally important first paragraph of the story from ABC News and chatted about by George Stephanopoulos and Adam Schiff. Well, the most important part is Andrew McCabe got fired because an IG investigation found him fireable and in offense and that he lacked candor, which is another way of saying he lied, and also he leaked, Andrew McCabe, information to the media. Then that caused the FBI's OPR, the Office of Professional Responsibility, which is the internal affairs arm of the FBI, like the internal affairs agencies that are all throughout the various police and sheriff's departments in the nation. The FBI's OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, the internal affairs guys, they recommended the termination of Andrew McCabe. And then Jeff Sessions said, okay.
Monsieur has been locked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show right here on the SHR Media Network. You want to contact me? You can contact me at BZEP on Twitter, at BZEP, BZEP, on my blog, bloviatingzeppelin.net, email bz at shrmedia.com. My original music is by Possessed Tranquility. You can find them at reverbnation.com. Promotional consideration by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by Pratt & Whitney Engines Thrust. You can trust. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I will be consorting in less than an hour. Thanks to Jeff Dunitz for the time he invested with us tonight. Thanks to you for listening live. Thanks to you for listening in podcast. Thanks to you for being in the chat room at shrmedia.com. You guys have a great weekend. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good
night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.